I'm going to do a test and see if this works. Waiting. Oh, there we go. See that, eh? How about that, eh?
Hey there, I'm back to share another travel adventure with you. Back in 2015, I was riding across Europe on the Eurorail, and I ended up in one of the most famous cities in all of Europe, Venice, Italy. Hey, I got this. Sorry, I couldn't wait to see this historical bucket list city. I wanted to see the gondolas, the canals, but I gotta tell it like it is, it didn't meet my expectations. Yeah, it sucked. Hey, we don't gotta be so negative here. Well, it did. I mean, it was drab, it was dreary. You know, there was metal was rusting, plaster was falling off the brickwork. I mean, there was no color. It was awful. Things were covered in mold. Are you going to tell the story or am I? You go ahead. You started it. But tell it like it is. I'm going to. Let's just play the video and let the viewer decide for themselves, okay? Okay. It did have its charm. Yeah, it sucked. It was very romantic. Don't go it. Thumbs down. Oh, let's just play the video. Go ahead. Roll it. First things first, accommodations. Venice is an island comprised of canals and narrow streets. There are no cars there, so trying to find your hotel while carrying or dragging your luggage down the cobblestone streets is quite a challenge. When you do find where you're staying, you probably have to pack your luggage up a flight of stairs because there are no elevators. The hotels are old and small, and the nightly rate was astronomical. Too much for this backpacker, like I'm talking over $300 US per night. It was obvious I had to make other hotel arrangements. So I took out a map and I was looking at some places just a little further out. And I noticed a few islands that appeared to have some beach access. I focused in on this one to the east, and sure enough there was a hotel not far from the beach called Hotel Valdor. I took the 30-minute ferry ride out of Venice across to Punta Sabbione, and then a 3-minute taxi ride to my hotel, and at 1/3 of the price, I made the right decision. Check this place out. The place was like an oasis, and I couldn't wait to see the beach, which was just down this little path. And when I got there, boy was I surprised. The problem with traveling alone is always trying to find a safe place to stash your valuables when you're going for a swim. I headed down to the end of the pier where not many people were hanging out and stashed my phone, my keys, and my wallet in the rocks while I jumped into the water for the very first time. Now I was all excited thinking I was swimming in the Mediterranean Sea, but actually this is the Adriatic Sea. Not quite, Floyd. After I got my first and only swim in Europe out of the way, I decided to head back to my hotel room to chill out for a little bit. This little room was less than $100 per night and provided a really nice cozy place to stay. Hey Floyd. Outside a nice little balcony with some views and you can listen to the birds. Later in the afternoon, it was time to head back into Venice and check out this city and see what the hype was all about. Well, right out of the gate, let's get the tourist selfie out of the way. It was about then I noted that there was very little color in Venice. In fact, the most colorful thing that day, I think, was me in my red shirt and my fancy red glasses.
Plazuela San Marco, Venezia. Have a look.
Now, I'm not sure if that's stains or mold on the side of the building, but hardly a place for an Instagram selfie. And the most famous iconic landmark in all of Venice, Basilica San Marco. How disappointing to take a selfie with scaffolding. Wow, inside the basilica was absolutely amazing. Maybe there is something beautiful about Venice. One of the main attractions in Venice, of course, is a gondola ride down the canals. I had this grand idea that since I was traveling alone, I was going to take a romantic picture, me riding a gondola with my arm around my backpack. But at 80 euros a pop, this backpacker had to pass. So I start walking the streets looking anywhere for any signs of beauty at all. Come on, Venice, you gotta have something. Some of the laneways were so small and damp that I didn't know if I was gonna get mugged or the bubonic plague. You can imagine how beautiful this photo would be if they only did some upkeep on the buildings. Is anybody even living there? Walking through these narrow streets, an overwhelming feeling of sadness came over me, like people living in a jail there? It was such a disappointment. There were a few buildings that did show some pretty amazing architecture, but they were far and few between, and I did appreciate the ones that did. But I think the highlight of my day was listening to this band of brothers from Australia singing in the streets. There are many small canals in Venice and one grand canal. And that's where I jumped on a boat, part of the Venice transit system, and I went sailing down the Grand Canal searching for any glimpse of hope that I might recommend this city to other travelers. Okay, it's romantic. So, if you're in love, bring the object of your affection to Venice, go on an expensive romantic gondola ride, go out to dinner, have a plate of penne bolognese, drink a Moretti, go back to your room, make sweet love, and then get the next train out of this worn-out, weather-beaten city. Okay, maybe I was having an off day. Maybe it was because I had many blisters on my feet that day. Make a comment below if you feel the same way about Venice. Or comment below if you had a different experience and loved it. Or even comment if you just like my toes. And while you're at it, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Floyd Ventures, and click the little bell so you get notified for all my upcoming videos. So that's it for me. I'd made up my mind. I'm heading out of Dodge. I jumped on a ferry and I'm heading back to the train station and I'm going to catch a train to Florence. I'm going to leave you now with a few of the final sights that I saw leaving Venice. I guess I'm glad I came and saw it, but I don't think I'll ever come back. Unless, of course, I find somebody to share a gondola ride with.